So with Fate coming out very soon to Grand Summoners Global, and this crossover being one of the largest crossovers we've gotten with a total of 6 units coming to the game, I wanted to make a video talking about how worth is this crossover. Is it as good as we have been hyping it up to be, or are these units and equips that are coming from it not really all that? So in this video, I'm hoping that I can give you a little bit more insight into the crossover, and maybe even convince you that, hey, I should be going for some of these units, or if you shouldn't be going for some of these characters. So part one would bring along Ilya and Rin. Ilya is a attacker that has a little bit of archon in the kit. If you actually looked at any type of gameplay for her on JP, or if you ever seen her kit, you will understand that she has a 300% damage buff on her super art based on how much HP she has, along with a pretty sizable modifier as well, which means that it makes her relatively good in new comps, and it makes her relatively good as just being a attacker. But not only does she offer this, she also has the archon as well in the kit, as long as you're above 50% HP. However, the major issue with Prismaelia that I have is the fact that she has no kind of healing in the kit. So if you ever do fall below that 50% HP threshold, you're kind of screwed. A little bit, just a little bit, not entirely, but you're a little bit screwed and if you don't have another type of healer on the team. And she has no heal slot either to provide any kind of healing. So yeah, you just need someone else that provides healing, whether that be Haruto, Mako, whoever. Apart from that, I would say she's kind of one of the weaker characters from this crossover. And by weaker, I don't mean like necessarily bad. It's more so this unit doesn't offer a lot of support to the team, even though she does have the archon and stuff like that. Sure, compared to some of the other characters that come out with this crossover, it's like, unless you just really need an archon, she's not bringing an insane amount of value to you. Still is a very good unit. However, the next character in this crossover is going to be Rin. Now, Rin is one of my favorite Fate characters. Just going to point that out there, since Medusa's not in the game, I gotta stand somebody, so we're going to be standing Rin here. She is a little bit more supporting, and she has a very unique mechanic. Her mechanic is actually very similar to that of Joker Celia's and someone like Groit's. However, hers is actually an AoE buff. Every single time this unit burns on the art, she will give everyone on the team a 30% buff all the way up to a 300% damage buff. Of course, just like Joker Celia, just like Groit's, she can only get stacks on this through the art. So you can't run burn equips or anything else. You have to do the art in order to get this extra damage, which definitely helps out with the rest of her kit. You got damage resist downs, you got burn resist downs in the kit, you have magic damage increases to 150%, plus 100% magic res down. And I guess with this unit, she kind of turns anybody in the game into an insanely good mines unit, because one of the main thing about Joker Celia and Groitz and all them that made them so good is the fact that you were able to stack their damage buffs really well in the mines. But with how this is, it's very likely that some of the already really strong damage dealers are just going to become even stronger in the mines or in longer form content. Also, not to mention too, one of the other things, which is kind of minor, but we got to take our dubs where we can get them. She is technically a fire archgener. To an extent, her skill does archgen for fire units. And I know it's not an insane amount or anything, but you got to take these dubs where you can. We don't got too many fire archers in the game. I think she's technically the second if you really want to count her as one. The next part of this crossover brings 2 characters that are also really good. The first one being Miyu. Now, Miyu is all damage. That is the entire thing about this character. She is completely DPS, and not just as herself hitting hard, but also being able to buff up any human allies damage by a ton. She has a massive multiplier on the super art, 185k. She's able to buff up human allies damage by 200% and give everyone 100% defense ignore with this thing. Not to mention too, if you are using this specifically to buff up her damage, she's going to hit relatively hard as well if she's above 80% HP, because she gets a 200% arts damage buff. So this unit is definitely one of the more offensive characters of the batch. I would say not only just one of the more offensive characters, also one of the more team playing nukers, especially if you're running other characters on the team that are human allies. There is a team that I'm going to be showing off later on in this video that revolves around her and buffing another character from this crossover to Kingdom Come, and you'll see the damage that that unit was able to hit thanks to Miyu and a bunch of other characters. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the craziest thing about this. No, that's not the craziest one. Shiro Emiya. Shiro Emiya revolves around a very specific mechanic, and you can think of this mechanic as being very similar to that of a Magia drive, some type of transformation mechanic. However, his is more of a stage transformation mechanic because he revolves around his famous unlimited blade works. If you are in Unlimited Blade Works, you get 100% paralysis and freeze resist. You also will deal damage passively every 8 seconds. And you give your team 30% DR. That's not it though. Everything in his kit gets upgraded. His skill becomes a 60 arc gauge skill. His art gets a duration buff up to 20 seconds. Mind you, this thing also gives you a 30% physical res buff along with a barrier. Your true art damage gets doubled while you're in Unlimited Blade Works. Your super art becomes insanely potent. You will deal 160,000% water damage physical and buff up your own attack and damage by 200%. Really, what brings him a lot of value is his damage mitigation potential. With the 30% DR passive on top of the 30% physical res that he's able to provide with the art and his true weapon, which I highly recommend that you do get if you are going to go for him, this does give everyone on your team a 30% damage reduction as well. Plus, it lasts for 20 seconds and it's on a 35-second cooldown. It gives him 100 art gauge too passively and a 20% skill CT. So this unit on his own can just have 90% DR for the entire team with a singular unit. That is extremely good. Not to mention too, his slots. Look at these things. These things are a gift from God. There is a few bad parts about this unit. The one thing that you may notice is, well, I don't know if I showed it in the video, but he has a very low attack stat at 2800. This is kind of unheard of, especially for a lot of ascended characters. Another thing, whenever you activate UBW, you get the benefits instantaneously. So you get the 30% DR, you get the paralyze and freeze resist, all that stuff becomes active as soon as you flick up 3 times and you activate that super art. The thing is though, is that you won't actually be able to take control of Shiro again until he gets done doing his little chant, which takes a little bit, about 10 seconds or so. This unit is the character to go for. Out of every unit that is in this crossover, this is the unit you will want to get. Make sure that you have some stuff saved up for him and summon for him if you can. He is a must summon. I would say arguably a must summon, but no, I'm just going to say right now, this is a must summon character. He is going to help your account out exponentially. Now, I know that was a pretty big high that we just came off of, but what about part 3 of the crossover, which features Chloe and Saber Alter, also known as Salter? Well, one of these characters I feel are very, very interesting. The other character is one of the best damage dealers in the game. Chloe is a unit that is actually a supporting character specifically for breakers. She's able to buff up break power, give break resist down, and even give your team 200 art gauge if you break an enemy. This unit may seem kind of trash and possibly will go down in history as being the worst character from this crossover. However, I think that there's going to be some very creative individuals out there that are going to be able to figure out some really crazy teams to make Chloe work. In my head, being able to give your team 200 art gauge if you break a boss seems kind of OP, especially if you can load up your team with some of the best damage buffing items in the game. I feel like you can hit extremely hard and not have to worry about even giving your team a lot of arch shin items in like break nuke composition. And who knows, maybe in the future, breakers will become extremely meta, but for right now, I don't know how I feel about her. I could see the potential though. Definitely, I feel like some people will make this character work and do crazy stuff with her. Saber Alter is one of the craziest DPS units in this game, and I mean crazy. She has the highest, and I mean highest, super crit rate in the entire game, being at a massive 60% on the super art, while also boasting a massive multiplier of 170k. She's also able to buff up her own damage by 100% and reduce the enemy's dark res by 70% on the true art, and she's very self-sufficient with the skill too, being able to give herself 80 art gauge if it crits. By the way, she has built-in crit as long as you're above 50% HP. The worst part about this unit is probably her slots, which aren't the best for damage dealing since she does have a 5-star defense. I mean, I can see the philosophy, right? Being able to give her some type of sustain, but definitely having like a 5-star physical or a 5-star magic here would have been crazy. Not only would that have been crazy, let me show you what this character is able to do though. Even with these slots and everything else, this is a video that I saw online by a Japanese player. This was actually on their Twitter account. I'll link it down below in the description. And as you see here, this is a solo run against the Wilkes raid boss. And this is all about buffing Salter out the wazoo. Every character here is meant to give Salter more and more buffs, whether that be reducing the enemy's dark res, giving AoE buffs, or whatever the case may be. You even see Miyu in this clip due to the fact that she gives that massive 200% damage buff, and come to find out, Salter is a human character, so she will benefit from it. And as you see here, Salter just absolutely one-shots it. And if you wanted to know how high this damage was, well, this is how much damage she actually dealt. Yeah, that's 180 million. She's definitely one of the strongest, if not the strongest damage dealer in the game. Even without a team like this, just being able to support her with regular damage buffs, let's say you run like a Forte or whoever else in like a regular nuke comp, you're still going to be able to hit insanely high numbers. The main negative, of course, to Salter is her biggest strength. She's just a damage dealer. So she doesn't offer any type of utility to the team. So if you don't need her crazy over-the-top damage, then you're not going to be turned to this character. And those are all the characters. I've mentioned some that are definitely some must summons. If you take away anything from this video, definitely make sure that you pick up Shiro Emiya more so than anyone. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a stan of Emiya, okay? I know some people be like, oh, OP stan, or look, listen, I'm saying it because he's actually a broken unit. Thankfully he is. I can't help it that they made my favorite character broken, okay? As for the other characters in this batch, everyone's very solid. It reminds me a lot of Tokyo Revengers collab, or even that of like Yu Hakusho whenever it first came out. And you can really go for whoever you want. There's not really a bad option here. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this video. Tell me down below if you're going to be going for any of these characters, or if you're looking out for someone else other than Emiya. Are you going to be going for Salter, maybe Ren, or whoever? We're going to be doing a few summon videos on this collab because this is probably my most hyped collab in Grand Summoners, next to like Yu Hakusho. So I'm extremely excited. You guys can expect a lot of videos around this stuff, and yeah, I can't wait. Either way though, that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you all again for coming out, and last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.